So it's 13th of January there, 2024. Reading it last night about Bill Kennelly, about more or less the cover up that went on there years of that case where he was molesting kind of young boys in Waterford. And the cover up was assisted by Waterford Gardaí, political influence, and obviously the Catholic Church had their part to play in it, let's be honest about it. But I'll be just reading certain parts of it there now, and like, if anyone thinks that's a one-off, like, you know what I mean, you're crazy. This is normal down in Waterford, you know? It's just people don't really hear about it because it's been done in the highest echelons in Waterford. So like the normal Joe Soap don't get to hear about this kind of stuff. Like I've been very vocal about the historic allegations regarding children's grouping, and how for 2 decades that stuff was kind of more or less covered up, and it's still been covered up. Yeah, and they're like, I've called out Mary Halligan, who was like running this, supposed to be the founder. She's the co-founder. That can all be proven. She's not the founder, she's the co-founder. But she was aware of a lot of the information that was going on up there. And as I said, today is January the 13th. 3 days ago was my father-in-law's 1 year anniversary for his passing. And then into the church, and sits directly across from us, is Mary Halligan. And you'd say, well, maybe that's just a coincidence. Maybe it is just a coincidence. And 11 months ago, at his month's mind, Henry Halligan came into the church. Now this goes on with all my family, any kind of like burial stuff, any anniversaries or stuff. Like, this is the kind of stuff that I have to deal with, of these so-called kind of like pillars of the community coming in, harassing, kind of even at family events, or kind of like religious events, or kind of family gatherings and stuff like that. This will give you an idea that nothing is off limits to this crowd. And like, that's what's been covered up for 20 years. You have much the same as that Bill Kennelly stuff. There's very little difference in that stuff with Bill Kennelly stuff and what's going on here in Waterford there now. You have a Sinn Féin TD, do you know what I mean? David Cullinane, let's be honest about it, and his friendship with John Halligan needs to be scrutinised regarding all of this. You have Ray Halligan, brother of John Halligan. Now he's on one of my TikTok videos. You can see it plain as day. You can see him trying to pass a threat through me to tell that one giving you the information up in children's grouping. That was a reference to one of the girls that came forward about the stuff that was happening up there. And he tried to pass a threat through me. Now the video is on my TikTok. It's the very first video on my TikTok. If you look at it, and you can see in the video, he walked over and he tried to handle my door now. Obviously I called the guards, but the guards don't want to hear anything about it. They don't want to hear anything about the family of the ex-mayor and ex-minister John Halligan. Do you know what I mean? And then you have the other brother, Henry Halligan. This piece of shit interfered with my mother's funeral, right? There's no word of a lie, and there's a lot of stuff I could really say. If you go back through me post there now, I've kind of touched on it, and I'm kind of worried that this might like kind of leak out into the public domain, let's just put it that way. But I sent in private messages to a priest out in Ballybeg. He was a family friend, and I was talking about kind of the corruption within Tussle and kind of stuff like this, and how a friend request was sent to me wife by David Cullinane. There's the friend request by David Cullinane that was sent to me wife. They first tried to kind of like tried to threaten us, basically tried to use intimidation kind of tactics, and then kind of tried to gaslight us and say that we were lying. Yeah, the information that I sent out to the priest on Ballybeg, as I said, he was a family friend. Well, this information, right, by the church secretary, right, was printed off, right, and passed back to David Cullinane. And do you know what the church secretary was? Henry Halligan. Do you know what I mean? The brother of John Halligan. Do you know what I mean? And I wrote to the Bishop Alphonsus, and the reason I'm bringing up Bishop Alphonsus, because I read about him again there yesterday in that Bill Kennelly case. Like, I wrote to Bishop Alphonsus about this, the actions of this person, this Henry Halligan, because he tried to interfere then and tried to change my own mother's funeral arrangements so that my family and the priest wouldn't cross paths. That's how sleazy this piece of shit is, like. Do you know what I mean? But Bishop Alphonsus is aware, like, of this person's actions, and he covered for him. He first tried to ignore me. I wrote him 11 times, Bishop Alphonsus in Waterford, and he tried to ignore me until I went to a solicitor, and then he basically covered up and said that he'd look into it, and he apologised and all this kind of stuff, and like offered sympathies regarding my mother and stuff. But he covered up for him. Do you know what I mean? Because this is what the Catholic Church does. Do you know what I mean? And then to see his name pop up in that whole Bill Kennelly thing again there now, I was like... And then we know in Waterford, then there's certain stuff I can't talk about. Well, for now I can't talk about it, but I will eventually. But yeah, you have an ongoing kind of situation of the same kind of shit being covered up in Waterford. It's very similar to that Bill Keennelly stuff, do you know what I mean? And they don't want this coming out because of the political influence. And not only that, but it was covered up by Waterford Gardaí for fucking years, much the same as the Bill Keennelly stuff. Do you know what I mean? They got their promotions and their 30 pieces of silver. And I spoke with that friend request from David Connan and his relationship with John Halligan. If you go back to their to the internet, go back to their posts, right, and you'll see none of them, right, despite supposed to be opposing parties, like, they do nothing but compliment each other. Do you know what I mean? They have a history of public displays of affection towards each other. Do you know what I mean? And the last person to get the most votes in Waterford was David Cullinane. The last person before that was actually John Halligan. So he's basically working off the same fucking blueprint as John Halligan is David Cullinane. And he's everything that's wrong with Irish fucking politics. And when I spoke about that, right, in the video, there was a fundraiser held down the Tower Hotel in Waterford. And they basically tried to kind of more or less same thing again, tried to use their intimidation kind of tactics there and everything, because my video was up, it was only on 89 views or 90 views or something. And after this fundraiser, it shot up there. There it is there, look. I'm going to find this thing there. See? It's on 10,000 views. It actually shot up to 14,000 views, if I'm being honest with you. And then I took it down. But what it was is they were trying to kind of intimidate me, basically, because they didn't want me talking about this. They don't want me highlighting David Cunningham's relationship with John Halligan, because, like, eventually if that comes out, which eventually it will come out, because there's only so long you can suppress this stuff, and like, there'll be a lot of people with egg on their face, and there's a lot of questions to be answered regarding that whole children's group link. And at the heart of the questions that need answering to that is Mary Halligan, and I've called that out. I haven't tiptoed around the situation, do you know what I mean? Get the answers from her, and I'm willing to offer documentation just to show whether or not she followed protocol, because there is a protocol to be followed. Like when was she first aware of these allegations about a certain person? Do you know what I mean? How many times were the allegations made about this person? Do you know what I mean? Did she contact Tusla? If she did, what was the date? Because this is the correct procedure. She's supposed to contact Tusla. She's supposed to contact Waterford Gardaí because it's a criminal offence. Then she's supposed to back away from the situation given the conflict of interest. Do you know what I mean? And not only that, she's supposed to fill out a report, and the report should be available up in Children's Group Link. But it's not like the person went on to repeat his actions again and again and again. Well, actually, he did go on to repeat his actions again and again and again. And the red flags around this person, which I haven't really spoken about before, but seeing as you're coming down like fucking harassing my family, do you know what I mean, at anniversary masses, I'm going to talk about it. Red flags, right, with this person was, right, he grew up knowing a family, because I grew up around these people, right, and he knew this person since she was a child. This is no word of a lie. Since she was a child, knew her family, knew her, waited till he had her on the grounds of that fucking charity, and then began a relationship with her. Do you know what I mean? You don't find that a bit weird? That's on Friday and shit there now. And if anyone thinks that was the only time that he done that, do you know what I mean? Like, if that girl thinks, because I know she probably had to believe in these lies, thinking that she was the only one and only. He has a fucking history of doing it. Do you know what I mean? And the certain staff members have a history of watching him doing what he done. Do you know what I mean? And this went on for years. And only a couple of months ago, they had him back up there on the grounds of the charity, around the same demographic of young girls. Do you know what I mean? If that was a teacher and he was getting accused by a pupil, he wouldn't be allowed on the grounds of the school. So why are you making exceptions for him to be allowed on the grounds of the charity? Parking his car across the road in the supermarket and amongst all the other cars, thinking that he wouldn't be noticed. But it shows you, like, nothing is off limits to these people. Absolutely nothing is off limits. They think they're above the law because their brother is the ex-fucking mayor of Waterford, or the ex-minister. Do you know what I mean? He should be scrutinised. His relationship with David Cunningham needs to be fucking scrutinised. And I'm telling you that it needs to be publicly scrutinised, because you can't trust a government to handle any kind of complaints or procedures. They're pushing through a hate bill speech. Do you know what I mean? Despite the citizens of Ireland not wanting this hate speech, they've been publicly fucking, like, speaking against it. Do you know what I mean? But we have our politicians, for whatever reason, are pushing this through because it suits them. And furthermore, when I spoke about that whole David Connar fiasco and how the kind of views jumped up 10 to 14,000 views, I was driving down to Dungarvan actually a couple of weeks afterwards, and a car came along behind us, myself, my wife and my daughter, and they tried to push us out over the cliff out on Tranmore Road. There's no word of a lie. And this is the kind of shit that we're dealing with, though, trying to intimidate us. And then you have like Waterford City Council, the rampant corruption that's going on in Waterford City Council. Why are there certain people, right, involved in Waterford City Council, right, that have their fingers in corruption? Why are they members of Sinn Féin? Like, that should be a fucking concern to Sinn Féin. I've spoke about Roisin Doherty and Leo Kennedy. Both these people got caught searching my mothers. That's 100%. Why would I make this up? I'd have no reason to make this up. Think about it. Like, it would be some weird random thing to make up. They got caught. They got their actions covered then by Joe Daniels and his association with certain members of Sinn Féin. And they can't shut me up. They're trying everything in that to shut me up. And I have to go into this courtroom now next week where my ex basically has lodged another safety order against me, despite me having no contact with the person. And I'm sure anything I say here now is going to be probably held against me in a courtroom. Yeah, so there's a lot of kind of questionable behaviour regarding this person. And unfortunately for members of Sinn Féin and Waterford City Council and Waterford Garda, you all went off and you spread all that sexual bullshit that was spread around in an effort to try and have me removed and basically destroy my life. And at the end of the day, if you weren't corrupt in the first place, you would have never like resorted to this kind of tactic. So that's really what the issue is. You got caught with your hand in the cookie jar. So you reap what you sow, basically. So yeah, I'll probably leave it there now because I'm going on a bit there now. So I'll upload another video as quick as I can. And that's what that stuff in children's grouping. You have the same corrupt Gardaí, political influence and assistance by the Catholic Church, just like in the Bill Kennelly case. You think they would learn something from that, like, wouldn't you? Yeah, so I'll leave it there for now, and yeah, I'll be back, I suppose. Thanks.